The Scottish Premiership is entering its final stages. It's been one of the greatest seasons of all time, and I think the best is yet to come. So as we enter what's going to be a 4-team title race, I wanted to have a look at who I think every team's best player has been this season. I start with Motherwell, a team who have undoubtedly exceeded pretty much every expectation anyone had of them. If anything, they've far exceeded them. Most people had them bottom 6, some even relegation. Nobody even thought they could get top 6. Now they're kind of almost challenging for the title. And they play the best football in the league. I mean, when was the last time you saw a team in Scottish football, other than Rangers or Celtic, be this comfortable on the ball? But when it comes to who's been their best player, there's a few candidates. Elliot Watt has had a brilliant season. I'm not quite sure what it is with St Johnstone failures suddenly going on and being absolutely magnificent at Motherwell. But for me, the best player this season for Motherwell has to be the one and only Tawanda Maswanise. At the time of recording, he is the joint top scorer in the league with 14 goals. That is more than double he scored last season. And remember, he was away at AFCON for a few games in December, so it's even more impressive. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tawanda Maswanise was to end up as the overall player of the season. He's been that good. And for Motherwell, it will be interesting to see what happens in the summer. Now, I struggle to believe they will be able to keep him, but how much will you get? If he does this sort of numbers at Rangers or Celtic, he's an above £15 million player. But at Motherwell, I don't know if they even get 8. Now, next up we head to the other side of the table to look at the other team in yellow, Livingston. It's not been a particularly good season for Livingston. They are way adrift at the bottom of the table, and at the time of recording on Friday night, haven't won a game since August against, was it Falkirk, I believe, are the only team they've beat. Now, when it comes to the best player of the season, my heart wants to give it to Stevie May, who I don't think has had a bad season, but the person I'm going to give it to is Jerome Prior, the goalkeeper. Now, that sounds a bit silly. Livingston are the worst defensive team in the league. They've conceded 58 goals. But Jerome Prior has been one of the best shot stoppers, and I think it would be a lot worse without him. If you look at both the Rangers games, the ones at Livingston anyway, Jerome Prior was magnificent in them games. I think back to the start of the season at Celtic Park, he made one of the best saves that I think I've seen this season. I'll try and show it there. He makes over 3 saves a game, and his passing is by no means terrible. So I'm going to give it to the French goalkeeper for Livingston. Next up, I want to talk about the Bairns, Falkirk, who have had a really strong season. They look pretty much set for top 6 at the minute, something that I'm going to be honest, I didn't see coming. I know a lot of people were on the Falkirk hype train. It was one of the only predictions I got massively wrong. I thought they would be relegated, to be honest. I really didn't believe all the hype. I thought coming up twice in a row would leave you in a situation where you would go straight back down, because their team isn't filled with big Premiership names. And the guy who I want to say is the best player this season is playing his first season in Scottish Premiership football. And that man is Brad Spencer. He creates so many chances, he wins the ball back so much, and I believe he's played pretty much every game for Falkirk this season. Everything they've done well has been centred around Brad Spencer, who has just been an incredible servant to Falkirk over the last 4 years. And it's quite interesting really, because Falkirk are not a team that have a lot of big names. They have brought a lot of players up with them through the leagues. Calvin Miller has been crucial to everything they've done well this season. He wins the ball back so much. He creates so many chances. They've brought guys from pretty much obscurity. You look at Barney Stewart, who spent the first half of the season on loan at Dunfermline, played well, was brought back in, and has been, again, a revelation for this Falkirk team, scoring, I believe, 4 goals already. Now, one of the things Falkirk have done so well this season is pressing high with such discipline. They win the ball back in the final third more than any other team, and they foul the least of any other team. So they're not just jumping in and pushing anyone off the ball. It's a real strategy-driven pressing system that has helped them be so successful in their first season. And where they go from here, that's anyone's guess. Okay, next up is Hibernian, who I think found themselves in a little bit of no man's land. I really don't think they're going to lose this 5th spot. I can't see Falkirk catching them, but by comparison, I can't see Hibs catching Motherwell or Rangers, or Hearts or Celtic for that matter. But it has been a strong season for Hibs, and to me, the best player this season is the new signing they got from Aberdeen in the summer, Jamie McGrath. It's a combined 10 goals and assists for him. He creates over 2 chances a game, and the defensive side of his game has improved since last season anyway. He is that key player for Hibs that I think can turn a game around if he wants to. On the flip side, someone else I think deserves a lot of credit is the goalkeeper, Raphael Salinger, who has been one of the best goalkeepers in the league this season. Outside of Motherwell's goalkeeper Callum Ward, I think Salinger is the best goalkeeper in the league. He's prevented so many goals and has a save percentage of over 70%. Now, as I said before, this is a kind of no man's land end to the season for Hibs. If they keep up their form, they will just finish 5th, and I think that is what will happen. Now, their season isn't over because they will still play a very big part in which of these 4 teams will eventually go on to win the title. Now time for the other side of Edinburgh, because it's Hearts. Top of the league, the best Hearts team I think I've ever seen, and possibly a real chance of winning the league this season. They have been incredible this season. Derek McInnes has really got them firing. I'll be honest, didn't have much faith in Derek McInnes under the new ownership. I didn't really think it was the right move. Again, been proven wrong. Now, when it comes to the best player, I did make a video a little time ago calling Claudio Braga the best player in the league. I think Tawanda Maswinise has overtaken him, but I still think Claudio Braga is the best player at Hearts. Now, Cammy Devlin, Lawrence Shankland, they've been really good and on comparison with Braga when they've been there, but they've been away for quite some games this season. Claudio Braga has been ever present and Hearts have been ever present at the top. The two go hand in hand. There have been some other great Hearts players this season as well, of course. Kizaridis, Harry Milne, Stuart Finlay, Craig Halkett, they've all been brilliant, but Claudio Braga never stops running. His work rate is off the charts, he's the top scorer for Hearts, and he is ultimately Hearts' best player. Whether you like it or not, the answer is Claudio Braga. Now, next up it's Dundee, and I think we're all probably due an apology to Stephen Presley, who's got this Dundee playing much better and had much better results than I think we all thought they would get. And it's really been the young core of that team that's helped them so much. The two names that scream out to me when we're talking about player of the season are Cammy Congreve and Luke Graham. It's really between them two. And out of the two, the person I'm going to give it to is Cameron Congreve, who has been incredible. I mean, a few years ago they were calling him the Welsh Messi at Swansea, and I think Dundee have really got to see some of that power. I mean, he's no Messi, but he has been really good. He's made the most assists in the league at 7, creates over 2 chances a game, and has been a part of everything good that Dundee side has done this season. As for Dundee, well, I am willing to begrudgingly admit that I do think they will just miss the playoff spot this season. I think it will be between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. Time for the first of the old firm clubs, and we're going to go with Rangers, who, let's be honest, it all started a little bit wrong for them. They had Russell Martin for the first, was it 6 or 7 games? It all got a little bit toxic. Then they bring in Danny Roll, and it's gotten a lot better. Now, I'm not sure they really are in contention for the league as much as they think they are, but they have had a strong season, and they've been pretty good when they've been good. Now, who's been the best player in that Rangers team? Well, Mikey Moore has really kicked on as the season's gone on, but for me, I think Emmanuel Fernandez, who was perhaps an overlooked signing when he first came in, has been Rangers' best player. Now, of course, he has been so dangerous from set pieces, and Rangers have been so dangerous from set pieces in general. It's 5 goals for Emmanuel Fernandez, but he has been really solid defensively as well. Now, Rangers have conceded the 2nd least goals in the league, I believe. I believe it's Motherwell, then Rangers. Now, Emmanuel Fernandez wasn't really part of the start of the season. He was not the starting centre-back at the start of the campaign, and that to me gives him even more credibility, because Rangers were rubbish until about October kind of time, and that's when Emmanuel Fernandez really started to pick up and become the starting centre-back that he is now for Rangers. So for Rangers, Emmanuel Fernandez is the best player this season. Now, if we look at the trajectory that he's on, I do think come the end of the season, Mikey Moore will solidify himself as the best player Rangers have had this campaign. But currently, I think it is still Emmanuel Fernandez, just due to the amount of times he has saved Rangers' skin. Okay, next up is probably the toughest team on the list to pick from. It's been a not so great season for Aberdeen, and a lot of players in that Aberdeen side have had purple patches where they've been really good and then they've been really bad. So when it comes to the best player, well, Aberdeen have been a lot better defensively than they have attacking. Attacking has really been where the problem is. So if I'm looking at it defensively, I have to give it to the guy who's been ever present in the Aberdeen defence. Outside of the time he was suspended, he's played pretty much every game, every minute. And that man is the guy who came through the Aberdeen youth ranks, Jack Milne. And I think the fact that I've come to the conclusion that it is Jack Milne probably shows just how bad a season it's been for Aberdeen. And I'm not trying to say that Jack Milne is a bad player. I think he'll be a really good player and have a really strong career in Scottish football. But he shouldn't be Aberdeen's player of the season. And to me, he kind of is. Now, I don't think Aberdeen are really at any threat of being relegated this season, but I do think they'll miss out on the top 6 by quite a long way. So unless they can pull off some sort of miracle in the Scottish Cup, it's going to go down as a terrible season. Right, let's get Dundee United out of the way. They currently sit in 7th, can't see them catching Falkirk as I said before. If anything, I can see them dropping lower than 7th. And when it comes to who's been the best player this season for them, there's a couple choices. Kamara's been quite good, Fata's been quite good, but ultimately I think the player it is the guy who had a really strong start, and that is Zachary Sapsford. Now, of course, his form has dipped quite a bit as the season's gone on, but when he is good, Dundee United are good, and I think it's going to be all about finding that balance, because when Sapsford's good, Dundee United's good. So if you can keep him good, your team will be good, scoring goals, all that sort of stuff. He has 6 goals, he's still Dundee United's top scorer, and I think he is their best player. I would also probably like to give a little shout out to Will Ferry, who I think has also had a fairly good year. Okay, now another really tricky one, St Mirren, and it's been a little bit of a reality check season for St Mirren, because they're not a top 6 team. I know they finished in the top 6 the last 3 seasons, but they're not a top 6 team. And I mean, it's not been an all bad season for St Mirren. They are still on for a cup double. As someone whose team has won a cup double, I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed they don't win it. Now, when it comes to the league, the best player for them this season, it's a tough one, but in the end, I decided to go with Killian Phillips. The American-born Irishman has absolutely bossed the midfield the whole time he's been at St Mirren, and this season has been no different. 7 goals in all competitions. Now, I think he is going to be the difference between St Mirren staying up and St Mirren going down. Now, another player I have been a big fan of his whole time at St Mirren has been Ayunga, but he's been injured since December and I'm not sure when he will be back. I believe sometime in March. Now, if they get him back and Ayunga starts playing as well as we know Ayunga can play, I think they will be fine, but their player of the season is Killian Phillips. With 2 teams to go, next up is Kilmarnock. Another team struggling, but have started to come into a little bit of form as the games have gone on. And that good form has all been because of one man. Tyrese John Jules. Okay, I know it sounds silly to give it to Tyrese John Jules, who has recently been said is going to be out for the rest of the season. But in the games he's played, he has been phenomenal, especially since the turn of the year. Since the turn of the year to the injury that he sustained, I believe a quad injury, he has been absolutely brilliant. And with the news that Kilmarnock have signed a new contract with him, next season is going to be really interesting to see how he performs. Now, of course, when it comes to the end of the season, I don't think Tyrese John Jules can win Kilmarnock Player of the Year. He arrived late, I think it was October or September by the time he actually joined up with the squad. He played like 1 good game in 2025, that was it. He's only been good since 2026, but he's been so good that it's kind of impossible to say anyone else but him, just due to the nature of Kilmarnock being so bad. Now, the injury to Tyrese John-Jules has put a lot of pressure on a player that, in theory, should be quite good. The new January signing, Joe Hugel, only has 1 goal, but he has a big pedigree behind him. He's come through the Manchester United youth system. He was quite good for Wigan, I believe. I'd need to have a proper look. I don't believe he was that good for Barnet in the first half of the season, but you would expect that he can get another couple goals and help Kilmarnock at least have some chance at avoiding the playoff spot. But one thing's for sure, Tyrese John-Jules was phenomenal this season in the games he was fit. And he is going to be a huge loss for Kilmarnock the rest of the season. You kind of got to worry for them. We end on a team that it's been an absolute roller coaster for, and that is Celtic. It started really well. We got to a point where they were ahead of Hearts, and it was pretty much an Aberdeen Celtic situation from the previous season. And then it all just started to fall apart. They lose to Dundee. Brendan Rodgers makes some silly comments, then he leaves. Then they bring in Martin O'Neill. It goes well for a little bit. Then it goes to Wilfred Nancy, where it doesn't go very well. Now they're back to Martin O'Neill. But one thing has been a constant throughout all them changes, and that has been the captain, Callum McGregor. And this might be a controversial take, but I think Callum McGregor has been Celtic's best player this season. I think Liam Scales was really good before Wilfred Nancy, but since, Callum McGregor has kind of just kept that same consistent form this whole season. And without him, they would have a lot less points. If you think of the crucial goals that Callum McGregor has scored this season, the list goes on and on and on. Now, of course, you look elsewhere and you look at the fact that Benjamin Nygren is the joint top scorer in the league. But when you actually watch Nygren play, he's kind of just that player that just happens to score. He doesn't really do much else other than just score. Whereas Callum McGregor is sort of box to box. He's everywhere. And I know he's getting on a bit, and I know he's probably not the future of Celtic Football Club, but right at this current moment, he's the backbone and the best player that that club has.